Dear friends, you might have studied English for years, but when the moment of speaking comes, you can't produce even a single sentence. Do you know why this happens to you? If your answer is no, then stay with me till the end, because in this episode, we will solve this problem forever and you are going to become fluent speaker just in 4 months. But before we begin, just hit that subscribe button so you never miss any video. My dear friends, you might have spent years studying English, memorizing boring grammar rules, learning endless lists of vocabulary, taking boring classes, and even hiring expensive English tutors. You may have studied online and offline. You may have watched English movies, news, talk shows, and English podcasts. But still, when the moment of speaking comes, your mind stops working. Your tongue freezes. Your voice becomes shaky. Your body trembles as if a terrible enemy is attacking you. And finally, silence. You smile awkwardly and pick up your phone, pretending someone is calling you just to escape that moment. But do you know why this happens to you? It is not because you don't work hard. It is not because you don't have potential. It is not because you don't invest your time. It happens because you do not follow the ultimate path to speaking, the real path to speaking confidently and fluently. In this episode, I am going to share with you 5 powerful, simple, and practical tips that will help you speak English fluently and confidently, without hesitation and without fear. These are not random tips. These are not my own imaginary ideas. These are the methods suggested by the world's top language experts and linguists, including Noam Chomsky, the father of modern linguistics. Dear friends, before we get into the main section, let me explain language in a simple and clear way. You know what language is? Language is a medium through which we communicate our message, a medium through which we transfer our ideas, thoughts, emotions, and feelings to other people. So it means that the function of language is to communicate our message. It is just for communication. It is nothing more than that. It is not rocket science. It is not a tough scientific subject. Many language learners think that English is a tough subject of knowledge like others. And here, the real mistake comes into play. They think of English as a tough subject of knowledge and associate it with knowledge. They program their brain in this way. At the first stage, they give their brain the signal that English is your enemy because you are not competent in a tough subject. And from here, your brain starts to treat English as an enemy, a terrible one. And whenever you try to speak, your brain thinks that you are facing your enemy, not a language. That's why your brain stimulates the fight-or-flight response, and the final result becomes terrible. Silence spreads everywhere. So from now on, treat English as a friend, just a medium of communication, nothing more than that. Now, let's get into the main section of 4 tips to fix this problem forever. Tip 1. The habit of listening. Dear friends, listening is the very first and most important habit for English fluency. Honestly, the more you listen, the more naturally you will start to speak. Let me explain exactly how this works. According to Noam Chomsky, our brain is gifted with a special ability called the LAD, the language acquisition device. He explains that this part of our brain actually learns language through listening. So, when you listen every single day, even for just 10 minutes, this part of your brain is learning things automatically, like how individual sounds are formed, how these sounds join together to create words, how words connect to form sentences, and how sentences create a meaningful message. And all of this, believe it or not, is actually what we call grammar. This means your brain begins to learn grammar naturally and automatically without you ever having to memorize boring rules. And yes, Chomsky is absolutely right. Now think about a baby for a moment. From the very first day in the world, a baby starts listening. listening to parents, siblings, and everyone around them. After just 3 months of listening, the baby begins to produce simple sounds, mostly crying. After 6 months, the baby starts producing small words like mama and papa. And after 2 years, the baby begins to speak complete, though broken, sentences. This is exactly how babies learn grammar, without studying, without rules, without books, simply by listening. So dear friends, if babies can learn in this way, you can absolutely do it much faster and more effectively because your brain is far more powerful than a baby's brain. So here's what you need to do. Just listen to English. Movies, podcasts, stories, talk shows, and even the stories on this channel. Listen consistently every single day. And trust me, if you do this daily for 4 months, you will absolutely become a confident and fluent speaker because your brain will naturally absorb the structure of the language. Tip 2. The habit of reading, because now your brain needs words. Now, dear friends, once you understand the power of listening, once you know that listening teaches your brain grammar automatically, how words are connected, how sentences are formed, and how grammar works automatically, it's time to move to the next step. Listen carefully here. If your brain already knows the structure of English, then it now needs the material, the words, to actually build sentences. Think of it like building a house. Listening gives you the blueprint, but reading gives you the bricks. Without bricks, a house cannot exist. Without words, sentences cannot exist. And this is why reading is your second most important habit. When you read every day, even if it's just 10 minutes, you feed your brain with new words, real sentences, natural expressions, everyday vocabulary, and new ideas and thoughts. Reading is not just about studying. It is about absorbing English naturally. Your brain picks up patterns. It remembers phrases. It stores vocabulary automatically without much effort. So after listening, the next step is obvious. Read something every day. Stories, articles, English subtitles, conversations, basically anything that interests you. Because the more you read, the more words you will have, and the more words you will have, the more sentences you will be able to speak. Tip 3. The habit of speaking, because now your brain must use those words. Now, dear friends, we come to the third step. And honestly, this is the most emotional, the most powerful, and yes, sometimes the most feared step, speaking. Listen carefully. Listening teaches your brain grammar automatically. Reading fills your brain with vocabulary, but only speaking activates everything. Speaking is where the real magic happens. Speaking is where fluency is born. Speaking is where confidence is truly created. If you never speak, your brain will never feel comfortable. Your tongue will remain stiff. Your voice will remain trapped, and fear will stay strong. But the moment you actually start speaking, even if it's broken English, even if it's very simple sentences, your brain begins to learn how to recall words, how to form sentences in real time, how to stay calm, how to express ideas, and how to speak naturally. And remember this, babies do not learn English by thinking. They learn it by speaking over and over again. So speak every day, in your room, in front of a mirror, while walking or watching videos. Speak for 5 minutes. Just open your mouth. Because speaking is not a test. Speaking is training. And if you train like this every single day for 4 months, fluency will naturally become your best friend. Your voice is your power. Use it. Tip 4. The habit of writing. The final step to control your English. Finally, dear friends, we come to the fourth habit. The habit that makes your English stronger, clearer, and more controlled. Writing. Writing is honestly one of the most underrated tools, but it is incredibly powerful. Why? Because when you write, your brain does something magical. It organizes your thoughts, it clarifies your ideas, it strengthens your memory, it improves your sentence structure, and it makes you think in English. Speaking is fast, writing is slower, and that slowness actually helps your brain understand English deeply. When you write a paragraph every single day, your grammar becomes clearer, your vocabulary becomes stronger, your confidence increases, and your thinking becomes sharper. And slowly, naturally, you start forming sentences in your mind automatically, which makes speaking easier, smoother, and more natural. Writing does not mean you need to write long paragraphs. Even just 5 lines a day are enough. Write about your day, your dreams, your feelings, your goals, or your plans. Because when you write every day, dear friends, you are not just learning English, you are controlling English.
Now, dear friends, you understand the truth. Listening teaches your brain the structure of English automatically. Reading fills your brain with words, phrases, and ideas. Speaking activates your brain and trains your tongue to produce sentences naturally. Writing organizes your thoughts and gives you control over your English. These 4 habits, listening, reading, speaking, and writing, are not random. They are the ultimate path to fluency and confidence. Here is the secret. Fluency is not about talent. It is not about expensive classes. It is not about memorizing grammar rules or endless vocabulary lists. Fluency comes from daily consistent action, from following the process, from practicing the right way every single day. If you follow these 4 habits consistently for 4 months, my dear friends, mark my words, you will speak English fluently. You will speak confidently. You will speak without fear or hesitation. You will finally express yourself the way you want. And always remember, English is not your enemy. It is your friend. It is your tool to share your thoughts, ideas, dreams, and feelings with the world. So start today. Start now. Do not wait. I promise you, in 4 months, your English will change forever. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends who want to speak English confidently. Together, let's make English simple, easy, and fun.